Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. Today, we have Marguerite Adzick, who is founder of Addison Bay. Marguerite has been highly recommended to us by a lot of different people in our Wealth Edit community, but we are so excited to have her on today and share her story. She has one of the cutest activewear brands I think I've ever seen. And now that I've gotten to talk to her and dig a little bit more deeply, I just was like, I want an outfit. I actually have my mom on the call today because she said my sister wanted some cute exercise clothes for her birthday. And so I was like, well, we're interviewing this great person tomorrow who you might want to hear. So I'll let you take the floor and just share with us a little bit about you and how you got here to where you are with Addison Bay today.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I am so excited. This is just so exciting. I'm thrilled to talk about all the fun things. But a little bit about me. I started Addison Bay 3 years ago. Prior to that, way back when, I attended the University of Virginia, played lacrosse there. Really enjoyed my time there. Loved it so much. Moved back to Philadelphia after and started working at Lilly Pulitzer's headquarters, which are right outside of Philadelphia, and loved my time there. I was there for 7 years on the marketing team. I had such a positive experience. And like most entrepreneurs that you know, I had an entrepreneurial itch where I was excited about an idea. And then the idea became bigger and bigger and started writing the business plan for Addison Bay. And really at the time, the idea was I was walking around on the street, saw women in activewear 24/7, and she was wearing activewear far beyond working out. She really was wearing it for all parts of her day. And I thought there was an opportunity for more fashion forward activewear, so pieces that she could really wear from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the idea for Addison Bay was born. So I was off to the races then. Actually resigned from Lilly when I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter, Annie, who's now 3 years old. And I really never looked back, moved into our warehouse space, which I'm in a side room of our warehouse space. And now we're really 3 years in cooking with fire, which is so cool. But definitely we have a long way to go, a lot more hard work ahead.
Yeah, that's great. Well, tell us how you built your team.
So building a team is, I think, the most fun part and also the most challenging part. What I always say is I always fill in the holes of the things that I'm not good at or I need to extend my bandwidth. So my very first hired her before we even launched the company, and she was a buyer. She had been a buyer for 5 years. She has a great eye. I love her personal style. And she knows the structure behind it, the open to buy. I didn't have that experience at Lilly. That was not my experience in the fashion world at all. So I knew I had to fill that space with somebody else's brain and talents. And I've kind of segued that into how I hire from that point on. I always fill the holes of what either my bandwidth can't extend into because I have a lot of balls in the air. Or I just think the company, we're growing really fast right now. We have a little bit of a growth spurt. And so I'm filling in the holes of things that we need to grow in that space. So I think it's definitely the most challenging, but also the most fun part. I have such a badass team. I'm so proud of every single person. We have 5 full-timers in ABHQ every day, and then 17 consultants who a lot of them are like full-timers. I talk to them all day, every day. So that's just kind of been our growth strategy. But it's just so exciting. I'm so proud. It's an all-female staff. And every day when I walk in the office, I'm excited to go to battle with these women. I just know they have my back, I have theirs, and it's a cool concept, a cool little group we have.
Yeah. And I love hearing that. And, you shared with me yesterday when we talked about working with Lilly and how you actually learned a lot about growing a team and how you wanted to invest in your team members through the way they invested in you. Would you share that story? Because I love that.
Yeah. So before I started Addison Bay, I was at Lilly for 7 years. Such a fabulous experience there. I really, really enjoyed my time. And what is so cool about Lilly, it's a huge company, but they still operate in a startup mentality in a way. And I learned so much from that in terms of being scrappy and gritty and just getting it all done. And then I also learned the framework of a company in general and how you really build it. We build our company on 3 pillars: product, distribution, and communications. I learned that from Lily. I learned that from my days there and then built my team based on that. We're growing quickly right now. And I literally look at the different departments at Lily and I'm like, okay, who do we have in that role? Who do we have in that role? And it was just the most amazing foundation. I also think the cool thing about my experience at Lily was I started when I was 22 years old, and I was like sitting at the table in one of my first big group meetings and sitting actually next to the CEO or president. When I walked in, that was the only seat. They probably all sat in different seats and left that seat open. And so I sit down and middle of the meeting, he's like, so what do you think about this? And I'm like, I'm sorry, me, like I'm 22. You don't want my opinion. But it was cool in the way that they were very much building up young talent and trying to retain talent, but also kind of like build up these young kids and get them experience and get them to understand the business and to really have some say. So I try and do that all the time at my company. Every time I get interns in from different schools, I'm like, what's cool? What's happening right now? For example, they're helping me with TikTok right now. I don't understand it. I'm very confused by it, but I hear it's all the rage. And so I'm leaning in, and we just filmed a couple TikToks and they're editing it for me. I don't even know how they do this, but definitely like the more brains, the better. I always say that. And I love the young talent that we have, and I'm trying to foster them as much as possible while they're getting good experience from us. So it's a two-way street.
Well, it seems like you have, I'm like looking at your website right now, and you have such a robust product lineup. So tell us about everyone's talking about like supply chain, but yours seems to be fine. What's going on?
I mean, production, there are so many fires in production. Like sometimes I say, I feel like I'm a firefighter and I'm just like putting out fires left and right. And production has probably been the biggest challenge this year. So we're 93% our Addison Bay brand now. We do carry a couple other brands we call them brand friends to sit next to us. And so now that we're 93% Addison Bay, better margins, so much cooler having your own brand. I love seeing Addison Bay all over the place. But with that comes all the supply chain problems. And so how we've navigated that, we've tried to work with more factories. So we're not just putting all our eggs in one basket. We're working in Taiwan, Cambodia, India, and China right now. And so we have 4 different partners. And that helps mitigate risk in the sense that if one factory shuts down, it's not like, oh my gosh, we got to close shop. We can kind of outsource and go to another factory. There's been tons of delays, major price increases, major port congestion. So we're really navigating it every single day. I think communication. This year, we over communicate to our factories and we tell them longer lead times than we actually need. So we're just trying to get ahead of it as much as possible. And then in terms of hiring this year, there were so many production problems that I was like, all right, I need a badass to come in here and really like take over this project and, take over not even just this season that we're in, like future seasons, spring, summer, fall. So we're already working out to fall 22 right now. And I hired her a couple months ago. She has just completely revamped our production strategy, really put some like hard, fast rules in place. And she's going to help us bring us to the next level. So I'm thrilled about, again, the hiring opportunity that I had in that space and where it's going to take us.
Yeah, I love hearing that. And kind of to your point, I mean, oftentimes in order to come in and like take over these parts, I mean, we have to come in with confidence, and even if we don't feel it 100%, like with a plan. And I know you shared with me that when I asked you who your mentor was, you said it was one of your brothers. And I was thinking about that last night, and I just thought, I love that, keeping it in the family, but being able to encourage one another, even though y'all are in different industries, because like, as you're putting out these fires and like just tackling anything that comes towards you, it's really important to have somebody that you can talk to. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that relationship and how y'all use one another.
Yeah, so he is definitely my biggest fan, my mentor. So it's my second oldest brother. I'm the baby of 4, and 2 of us are entrepreneurs and 2 are in the commercial real estate world. So we've clearly kind of both gone in similar paths. And I definitely lean on him a ton. He already started a company and sold it, and he's on to his second venture, and they are doing extremely well. So when I came to him early days, I'm pregnant with my daughter, I'm like, I want to leave Lily and resign and start this company. He believed in me the most. And I think you hear this a lot of people there's like naysayers out there, haters for lack of a better word. And he was just like supporting me the entire way. We sat down and he made me write a business plan, and it was about the 8th or 9th time that I came back and he gutted it to shreds. He would be like, go write it again, go write it again. The 8th or 9th time he was like, all right, you got it, you can go pitch the idea to investors. So he's been my biggest fan since day one. That's back in 2017, 2018. And then fast forward to today, we meet weekly. Just on Friday, we're meeting about some fun marketing stuff. I have more of a marketing background. He has more of like a business development background. And our fields are completely different. I'm in retail. He's, completely in a different world. So not always apples to apples, but it's so interesting the notes that we can trade along the way. And just this week, I sent him 4 different marketing contacts. Hey, we're trying this, might be transferable to your company. And so it's really cool to support each other along the way. It's also, I would say, being a solo founder, it's a very, very, very lonely journey. And I feel like I'm on an island quite often. I like being a solo founder for a lot of reasons, but the lows are the lowest of the low, and the highs are the highest of the high. I just love those highs so much. But the lows as a solo founder are one of the hardest moments, and to have him to lean on, and my husband, of course, but specifically my brother, I know he's been there. I know he's been in the lowest of the lows, and to have him to lean on and say, hey, like, this is happening, I'm navigating this. He's just like a really, really good sounding board. I know he's in it, not necessarily like in it with me, but in a way he is, and he gets it. Not everybody gets it. Like, you have to be an entrepreneur to get it, or else like you've never been in that low of low feeling where you just feel like, is this company going to make it? Are we going to, or what am I doing with all this tech? So he's my biggest sounding board, biggest fan. We can't let him listen to this because I think his head will get too big, but it's really nice to navigate this with a family member because he's been great.
That's awesome. Well, it's funny that you say that, because that's a lot of the stories that we hear from our Wealth Edit members is, they're going on this journey of growth, they're growing up a company, and they say, I don't want to do it alone, but I am alone. And so like finding that connection here, I'm sure they're really going to love hearing this story because we've all been there. And, Emily, I've been thankful with the Wealth Edit to co-found this with Emily. So I'm not alone, but I mean, when I was building Somerset, it was like by yourself, and it feels, you can go really fast, but it's really not as fun. So I get it. I mean, I totally hear you. You mentioned something about having outside investors. Can you tell us about that, like your experience with that? Because a lot of our members are considering outside funding.
Yeah, I've done 2 rounds, both friends and family rounds, and have considered the VC space and considered private equity pretty seriously, actually. And I guess the best advice very early days, it could have been my brother, was raise the least amount of money that you need. So the first round was like, I literally raised bare bones. Like, I'm not taking a salary, like bare bones, what we would need to get the company off the ground. And then we had some cool opportunities come our way that we would need some cash up front for. So did another small round with friends and family that were interested in being a part of the company. From there, I still don't take a salary 3 years in. So equity is everything to me. And I did have a private equity firm come in, and they just wanted too much of the company. And I was like, I'm giving this my all. I'm still not making I haven't taken a dime from this company. So equity is everything to me. I'm going to hold on to that. And I basically just like scraped by to get us through that time. And then year 3, 4, we're going to start leaning more on a banking relationship and move towards a line of credit. So I own a ton of equity, which is exciting. We've got to do something with that now. So that's kind of how I've been able to fund the business. I think like year 2, 3, we were just so tight every month. And that's why some of those bigger people coming in were interesting to me. But I just kept saying, I got to hold on to this equity because this is all I've got. And so I kept it tight and right. Like that's what I always say, tight and right. Didn't give away much, didn't raise too much. I raised a nice amount, but just got the company off the ground to, get it going, and then just kept dumping money right back into the company and filtering it through. And thankfully, we've really been able to get off the ground the last year. And then with this banking relationship moving forward, we can do some cool things. So very excited.
How did you shop for a banker? Because that's something that we really haven't discussed a lot at the Wealth Edit, but it's a really important part of the entrepreneurial journey. So tell us about that.
Like one of the hardest processes I've had thus far. I shopped around through connections. So networking, left, right, center, and I got a ton of no's. I think double digits number of no's. Even like our banking partner who helped us with our PPP, like, no, I was like, what? Like, how could this be? We're showing profitability in 2020 during COVID, still couldn't get a banking relationship. Like it truly was so hard. So I just kept using connections. Who do you use? Who do you use? Every couple of months, I'd follow up with the people that said no to me and see if they were interested at that point. I kept hearing that we needed to be 3 years into the business. So I kind of kept using that as a benchmark. And then I had some exciting opportunities come my way. So once I got these connections from the networking world of whether people use these banks or just new bankers there, or whatever the case was, networking was the way I got a warm intro. And then once I got some cool things to come our way, I could show them like a PO or a hard, something in black and white to say, listen, we're doing this next year. I need the capital to put up front. Like it was a little bit more safe. And then we've gone back within the first 30 days. We had a really cool opportunity. I was like, listen, I need to increase my line of credit already. Here's what's happening. Put together a pitch deck. And they were like, all right, we're in. So that's been exciting. Now I feel like we're off to the races, but it was a full year of like, it really just ate up so much of my time. It was very, very difficult. I would just say like, don't give up, use relationships, ask everybody under the sun who they're using, and just try and get those warm intros to get in the door.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Lauren and I always say it's helpful to not be easily embarrassed as an entrepreneur, because we just like ask, and if they say no, we're like, okay, what, like, because you just know it's or at least my expectation is this is going to take some time. And so it's helpful to know that on the front end as people start exploring those opportunities, like you're not the only one. This is just part of the process. One of the things you mentioned in that several times was networking. And I know a lot of us coming out of COVID and being in the house, we were having to brush off those networking skills to get back out there. And so tell us how you like think through networking. What's been your most effective way to make connections?
Yeah, that was actually something I had to learn more like when I started the company, when I became an entrepreneur. I try and allocate almost 50% of my time towards networking. And the reason being, so much comes out of it, whether you think it in the moment or it's 6 months down the road. So I basically say yes to everything. I meet with everybody. If it's a college kid being like, hey, I want your advice, I'm like, I'm in. How can I help? If it's a CEO of a major company, I'm obviously in, and everything in between. And the reason being is, I have these conversations. I feel like I always get a nugget of information that I'm like, oh my God, that was so insightful from everybody, whether, interns, whatever it is. And then from there, even if the conversation wasn't like, nothing's going to come out of that conversation, I always ask at the end, can you introduce me to 2 other people that you think would be helpful for the company, or you think that I need to talk to, or that would give me some good insight based on the stage of the company that we are. And they're always like, oh, okay. Something always comes out of that, an email intro after now it's Zoom calls mostly. I think I've had like 1 coffee date in the past year and a half, which I prefer. You can go a little bit quicker. But I always ask at the end, just, can you introduce me to 1 or 2 people that you think would be of interest? And that has been so, so helpful. It's not that person. It's maybe not even the next person, but it's like the 3rd person that something cool comes out of. And so that's my strategy on networking. I try to say yes to everything and allocate 30, 40, 50%, depending on the day of my time towards networking with other founders, with other business owners, just other people in the retail industry. I do specifically like networking with other founders because I think they've been there and they can understand the highs and lows. But the more the merrier.
Yeah, that's what I always say is I'm like, through Summer Sweater, the Wealth Edit, there's no such thing as a bad meeting. I mean, something always comes out of a meeting that, either a new relationship or something that you just didn't know about running your own business, or, something interesting that's happening in your city that you could be a part of. I mean, there's so many opportunities there. So I love that.
And we were actually reflecting a couple of weeks ago about, we were kind of looking at business plans and like thinking through next steps. And we read this awesome book and we were like, we have been so blessed by the connection. I mean, just those conversations about how much valuable advice that we had gotten from people who were just kind enough to meet with us. And
I'll reach out to anybody. I mean, I reached out to one of our favorite stories here is, I reached out to this guy because, women talking about money, it's not like anyone's favorite thing. And so this company specializes in sort of like awkward things to promote through advertising. And I was like, hey, if you can talk about, body odor, I'm pretty sure you can figure out how to talk about women and money and like make it better. And so help me, and we've been meeting with them once every 2 weeks for a year. And it's been so valuable. And this company, it's like,
well, I have to say, first of all, on the call, I didn't know who this person was. So I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, how do you know Lauren? He's like, I don't.
Yeah.
But then he said to us, people that hire us usually, I mean, their marketing budget can be upwards of $1 million a year.
Yeah, we have nothing.
Y'all clearly are not there yet. And so Lauren shared that with him and he was like, okay, well, we have the rest of our 30 minutes. We'll talk. And then he emailed us back the next week and said, I'd actually love to mentor y'all. I mean, we had no expectation of that conversation. And so just putting yourself out there, and then we'll say to him, who else do we need to talk to? And he has given us
so many good leads.
So just encouragement to all of us to like do that for each other that's such a good word.
Yeah. So anyway, I think networking is so important for women. And it's like that word just gets people like feeling funny in the inside, but it's so easy. And it's just doing what we would normally do. Like I was thinking about like, I was asking Emily, I'm like, where'd you get that dress? I want one. It's the same thing with like, hey, where'd you get that business advice? I need some of that, whatever it is. I think it's the same. So anyway.
Okay. Well, so obviously we love your clothes. I mean, they're so cute.
So everything cute. About that puffer jacket, the black one.
I know all of it. And so tell us what's coming next. What's up next on the agenda? What can we be looking for? And then I also want to ask you about, did you see cute Caroline Bramblett? Somebody that we met the other day that's an influencer, was like, had all your clothes on it. She's so did. Cute. And I want to hear about how you connect to that. But first I want to hear what's next.
What's next? Okay, we are looking into opening 2 new stores. So that's very fun. So we opened our first store during the pandemic in May of 21 in Avalon, New Jersey, which is the beach town that I grew up going to. And a lease popped up and I was like, ooh, I don't think I can turn this down. So we originally had planned the company to be all e-commerce and saw such an amazing response to a seasonal store, not even open all year. Very, very profitable, tons of new consumers, thrilled about our brick and mortar strategy. So looking into 2 new leases, which is fun. You'll see Addison Bay and Saks starting March 1st of 2022. Which is very fun. So our first national retailer. And then we have some other big wholesale accounts that we're starting to work with. So thrilled about that. Laser focus on our direct to consumer strategy, but I build a brand that will be on Saks. Like, does it get any better? So that's so fun. And then I just building my team. I'm so excited about building my team. We are having a major growth spurt. And so with that comes some hiring and bringing in some new talent and some new brains into the building. And I'm thrilled to do that. And I can't wait. I'm taking my time with it, but I'm so excited to continue to build out this amazing team.
That's wonderful.
All right, so tell us how you think through connecting, and I know we're almost at that 10:30 mark, but I do want to know, just because, you know, we all look at, most of us look at Instagram a lot, and we see these adorable people that are promoting brands, and how do you think about using that in your marketing strategy?
Yeah, so influencer marketing has definitely become a much bigger part of our marketing strategy. Number one is definitely digital advertising, spending the most in that space and seeing a lot of success in new customer acquisition and also retention. And then second, I think, is influencer marketing, which is really, really exciting. I put a lot of time and effort towards that in the past 6 months, probably since March of this year, and thrilled with the response. So definitely going down that path a little bit further. So I connected with, was it Caroline that you connected with?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Caroline Bramlett, the LCB style.
Yes. So, or my marketing team connected with her. What we're really looking for is consumers that would live in Addison Bay, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and represent the lifestyle and the activewear. So we're purposely picking people that would truly live in Addison Bay all day, every day. I also think like the on-the-go mom is like our prime consumer right now. Full-time working mom, stay-at-home mom, and everything in between. Like truly, that is our gal. So we definitely love to work with influencers in that space. I know that they have their hands full. My hands are very full with my 2 kids and my business. And so I love connecting with people like that. But just in general, influencer marketing, like we want them to represent the brand in the best possible way. We want them to love the product. Like I don't want it to be fake at all. So we definitely communicate with them as much as possible. And then I believe in the quality of our product. So a lot of people do come back to us and it becomes a relationship, which is really fun. And I'm like DMing them on the side, like, you guys are amazing. Thank you. And lots of fun stuff. Again, like it just feels amazing to see Addison Bay on people. We built this brand and then you see it out there. Like, does it get better? It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
I love that perspective from the product side. You know, you're like, I'm getting to see like all my hard work out there being lived in, and I love that perspective.
That's a really cool deal. Well, we are so appreciative to have you on, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And one thing we ask everyone that comes on is, why did you say yes to the Wealth Edit?
Well, I say yes to everything. So, no, I mean, I love connecting with other amazing women in the industry or just in general that are doing cool things. And I read like a short blurb. I was like, yep, I'm in. And you guys are doing such fabulous things. It's so, so, so cool. And I'd love to continue to stay in touch and connect along the way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much. We loved it. And I hope everybody goes and checks out Addison Bay and sees how cute all the amazing clothes are. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All
right, bye.
Bye.